Hello, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Gina and today we are off to try some verse books. Okay, so today, ignore my face and hair. I'm very sick, but that's a lie. I'm always very sick. I'm chronically ill. So I'm just having a bad day today, but I wanted to get this filmed because I want to read these books. So a little while ago I tried some manga and I really enjoyed that experience, and I decided that I want to kind of make this a series and try different types of books. Now this time we're going to do books in verse. I've read books in verse before. I really enjoyed it. I enjoy books in verse, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently. So I have 3 books here. I have Black Flamingo by Dean Atta, The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo, and Other Words for Home by Jasmine Warga. And I'm going to test out the different ways you can read. So Black Flamingo, I am going to read outright, just read the book. And then The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo, I am going to read and listen at the same time. And Other Words for Home, I am just going to listen to. This is just a placeholder, plus I wanted to show you this amazing cover because it's so beautiful. But this one I'm just going to listen to on audio, because I'm curious to see how I feel about how you read in verse. So I very much enjoy slam poetry. That's something that I've always enjoyed, and something that I watch pretty frequently. Can't write poetry worth anything. Took a poetry writing class in college, still can't write poetry. And so it's hard for me sometimes to understand poetry. I struggle with poetry, but I don't struggle with books in verse because it's not really poetry. It's more of a narrative, less metaphoric, and I really enjoy that. So I'm curious to see if, like slam poetry, I like it spoken better than I like it written. Like poetry, if I like it spoken better than I like it written. So that's why I'm doing this test. One to just read, one to read and listen, and one to listen. And then I'll kind of come back with my thoughts on what I enjoy the most and why I enjoy it, so that I can recommend to you guys which way you may enjoy, though, like how to enjoy books in verse, especially if you're trying to branch out into different, not necessarily genres, because most books in verse are contemporary, and that's something I don't read a lot of as well. So I'm kind of trying to get more into contemporary, and I think books in verse are kind of my bridge to that. But that way you can kind of enjoy a new format, especially maybe if I really like the audiobooks, if you're starting to get into audiobooks and stuff like that. So like I said, I'm reading 3 books. I'm probably gonna try to do it today, honestly, or in the next couple days, so you may see this setting in this face again, just because I don't have the ability to get dressed, which is so funny because I literally just watched a Books with Meg video, and she had a costochondritis flare-up, which is what's going on with me right now. And so that and a migraine, so I was like, I didn't know anybody else had costochondritis. But I'm obsessed with her, so I'm going to link her down below, because Books with Meg is, God, I wish I could edit like her. Plus, she's just amazing. She's wonderful. She's a wonderful human being, from what I understand in the parasocial relationship we currently have. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna go ahead and do. I will catch up with you once I am halfway through whichever book I start first. I think I'm probably gonna flat out read first. I'm probably gonna do Black Flamingo first by Dean Atta. Yeah, and I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so I'm officially halfway through the Black Flamingo. This is a 5-star read. It's amazing. No matter how you read this, for the love of God, read it. It's so... It covers so many insecurities that so many people have, not just about sexuality, but about who you identify as and how you can identify and how to work with the relationships around you when they may not understand how conflicted you feel. And it's beautifully written. I love it. This is a good way to get, like, if you're in a reading slump, read a book in verse. Specifically this one if you haven't read it. But read a book in verse, because I'm flying through this. I'm 200 pages in and I'm literally flying through it. And part of that is because it's so amazing. And part of it is just because you get into a rhythm with the words. You don't just like... I do really well with short chapters and stuff like that. Like, that helps me, but it's different than just reading something regular. Like, it is very much like poetry, obviously. You get into such a rhythm with the words that you kind of can't stop. It's almost like falling. Like, once you start, you can't stop the rhythm. Even though it's like divided into sections, like there's different... Hang on, let me see if I can find a page. Like, it's obviously covering his whole life of this boy. So there's sections, but it's still... It doesn't break up the story in a bad way. It just almost gives you like a timestamp to then fall into another piece of the life of this person. And yeah, it's amazing. So if you like physically reading, and you've been struggling physically reading lately, and you've had trouble with a reading slump, read a book in verse. And I love this book, but I think I'm going to like reading in verse audibly better. It is still a 5-star read, but I think I want to pick up the audiobook at some point so that I can listen to it, because I think that'll just make the experience a 10-star read. Because it's just an amazing story. But physically reading it is good too. I just don't think that that's going to be my how I fall totally in love with books with verse. But read this book. All right, I'm going to finish it now. Okay, so I finished Black Flamingo. It was amazing. 5 stars, loved it. So good. I am about an hour into Other Words for Home. I listened to that while I was in the shower, and I'm enjoying listening to that. It feels more genuine. I don't want to say genuine. Like, it feels more personal listening to somebody. They have, the narrator is Armenian. The girl in the story is Syrian, but, I have a feeling they would have been similar experiences. I don't think the author is actually Syrian. She is Arabic, but I don't know if she's Syrian or not. But Arabic speakers, an Arabic speaking woman is the narrator. Obviously she's narrating in English, and it feels more like somebody telling me a personal story, and I very much enjoy that, and it feels more consistent with the slam poetry kind of thing, which I really enjoy. So yeah, I'm enjoying that one a lot. And then and then when I got out of the shower, I started listening / reading to The Poet X, and I'm only 2% in. Hi, Evers. I'm only 10 pages in, so already noticed, though, some for The Poet X, there's conversation in the way the words are put onto the page. You're okay, baby girl. Like, here, let me show you. There's specifically a space where, like, here's this page. If you look here, it says, "Who's not heard is me, and is me is separated from the rest of the book. So I'm seeing a conversation in the way that the words are put on the page, which I find very interesting, that you don't get in the audiobook. So yeah, I'll keep reading those and keep you updated. Okay, so I just finished listening to Other Words from Home, and it was good. It's definitely something that's needed, I think. It was good to listen to it from an Arabic perspective, and to hear it as if telling a story. I do think that's specific to this book, with all of the Arabic words and things like that. I feel like I needed the pronunciation, but yeah, I enjoyed listening to it. I don't know if that's my favorite way, though. I really thought I was gonna like that more than just reading it, but honestly, I enjoyed the experience of the Black Flamingo, even though I enjoyed the books, I think, similarly. I enjoyed the experience of the Black Flamingo significantly more, and I just read that one. So now I'm revising my thoughts. I gave the Black Flamingo 5 stars. I only gave 4.25 to Other Words from Home. I think it's a very necessary story. I think the Black Flamingo might have been more impactful. It felt more personal, whereas Judah's story felt not quite as personal. It kind of touched on the hard topics, but I expected more in depth. I mean, it is a middle grade, so it's kind of hard, but I felt like there could have been more of the feelings of like missing her brother and things like that. I don't feel like the emotions felt as raw and real as they had in the Black Flamingo. I mean, obviously that's a different author, but yeah, I just didn't feel like the emotions were quite as raw and real. But again, it is a middle grade, so that could totally be the reason why. So yeah, so far my ranking is definitely Black Flamingo and Other Words from Home. And honestly, The Poet X I like, but I think that's gonna be last, and that one you should definitely like read, because of I really like, I'm not even finished with it yet. I'm further along than I was. I think I'm a little over 100 pages in now. That one has formatting that goes with the story. Like, there is formatting that lends itself to the way the story is supposed to be read, and I don't feel like you get that as much from the audiobook. I really think that one should be physically read. So far, The Poet X is probably my least favorite, only because I don't feel as connected. Like, I mean, again, I'm only 100 pages into that, but like, I don't feel as connected to the main character. There's a lot of anger, which like I understand, and that's a huge part. But it talks about anger, but doesn't really show the anger. Like, she says she talks with her fists, but it doesn't talk about getting in a fight. And she says she's angry, but no description of that anger. Description of a lot of the other things around it, but I feel like it doesn't pinpoint the anger as of right now for The Poet X. But I'll check in when I read more of that one. Alright, I'll ignore if I have any running mascara. I just finished The Poet X, and I told you that this was going to be my least favorite, and I take back every word I've ever said. Wow, this is the book that my 16-year-old self needed. This is the book that mother and daughter relationships should read, which is surprising to me because that's not what I thought it was going to be. And I watched the anger in this build and build and build until an explosion of understanding, and I I can't put into words what I feel about this book. You should read it and listen to it at the same time, because hearing the words while watching the stanzas is amazing because of the way that it's edited to be specifically for this book. I am overall more affected by these books in verse than I ever thought I would be, and I don't really read contemporary, but I will read every contemporary in verse now. I know Elizabeth Acevedo has a few other books, and I will be reading them. It's just incredibly impactful. I think reading and listening is the way that it should be done. I mean, obviously, any way that you can consume this literature is amazing because of the impact that every word has. Because of the shortness of it, you would think that it doesn't give you as much of a story, but really it just packs a story in such a punch that I think everyone should read these. It's just absolutely amazing. I cannot express how much I believe books in verse might be my favorite now, and how much I feel everybody needs them. So I think that's all from me. Go get a book in verse and see if you can check it out from your library. I would definitely recommend all three that have been in this video: The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta, The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo, and Other Words for Home by Jasmine Warga. So yeah, that's all from me. I'm hoping this was relaxing for you and an interesting video, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!